All right, spaghetti, pizza, lasagna, some of America's favorite foods, staples really. But while some chefs are celebrated for introducing Italian cooking into the U.S., the true credit, of course, belongs to Italian-American women. Italian food is really an immigrant story, and kind of what they did became universally loved. And it's really a story we haven't heard before until now. Just in time for Women's History Month, we're speaking with Lucinda Scala Quinn, really a culinary legend, stepping in for us for Author's Note. And the new book, Mother Sauce, is an amazing cookbook. We're just so honored to have you with us.
Thank you, Rebecca. I'm thrilled to be here this morning, and I love that you just hit the nail on the head on the intention with the book.
It's the stories are amazing in here. So your background, though, also amazing. Not only have you written kind of 8 cookbooks, I guess, right? I'm reading, like, oh my gosh, you're a TV host, Mad Hungry, Everyday Food, all these different things, and the Martha Stewart connection. I mean, you're legendary. So, I mean, that you're turning the spotlight on this is really amazing, because I think finally these stories are getting told. What kind of inspired you to go, hey, wait a minute, this needs to be my next book?
Oh, wow. Well, Mad Hungry, which were my other books, were all about being a boy mom and having all brothers and immersed in a man's world. But really, it was my great grandmother and my great aunts and all these incredible women who I grew up with, who inspired me, the Italian Americans, where there was so much joy and love in the cooking. And I noticed when we had the big family picnics, when they had trays of lasagna, enough food you couldn't imagine, cannolis and baked ziti, and the guys were all having a great time smoking cigars, and little me was like, this is amazing, but like, wow, a lot of work. And when I wanted to do my next cookbook, I just thought, I want these women who created one of the most popular foodways in America to get some credit, because when they came, as you pointed out, in the early 1900s, late 1800s, they were leaving poverty. They came to America in one of the largest mass migrations in world history. They came because they thought the streets were paved with gold, but what they did find was that the forests and the seas were just abundant. So they brought their techniques, it married with this incredible abundance, boil the water to make the food, and they managed not only to endure, but under great odds to really give birth to this foodway that is one of the most popular in America. And can you even imagine them thinking that now? I mean, every child eats pizza and pasta as some of their first meals. Everywhere in this country, somebody is making spaghetti, putting sauce on, and a little bit of grated cheese. And for Women's History Month, and just to honor my own ancestors and also others, I wanted to put this whole story together: why they left their country, how they endured, and how we got to this place today where, chicken parmesan and spaghetti and meatballs, tiramisu are some of our most beloved foods. I wanted them to get some credit. I did a lot of research to find out what the universal story was, and that's what's in this book.
So how did it go so, okay, we'll say today's language, viral? How did we get from those kitchens in New York, and how did we get from those places to, every mom has got her own recipe for, pasta?
Well, one of the things that had to happen, picture it's like 1904 and you're cooking these meals, 3 meals a day for your family. But at that time, a lot of men came over, called birds of passage. They were on their own. And so when all was done and the whole family was fed, the dads would set up a few tables, and then they would feed for paying customers that would come into their living room. And then eventually they were like, oh, people love this. And then they would get an underground place, and then they would get a corner garage, and they'd install Nona in there. And she would, started with tomato pie. And then next thing you know, it was beloved, but she was in the back, and very few women were kind of out front. And then look at the rise of Italian American food. It also intersected with America's industrial revolution, where we suddenly had lots of ground meat. We had frozen food came about in the early part of the century, canned food. So the Italians came from different regions in Italy, but then they came to America and just were like considered generically Italian. So each family developed their own recipes. And of course, there's so much joy and conviviality around an Italian family table. It feels good. You want to be there. And suddenly we had the restaurants, the pizzerias, the trattorias, and the food was just so good you couldn't resist. And then it just grew and grew. And as you point out, today, I mean, I think of my great grandmother and her 3 transatlantic passages, coming first in steerage, having, all those children and just working. So she was the business head in the family, even though her husband owned the business. She would go from Rome, New York to New York City, pick up families. I mean, the work these women did was so extraordinary. I just wanted them to have their credit.
And I want to remind people the stories are in here, but also it's like having Nona next to you. We've got 100 recipes in here that if you miss the boat and don't know how to cook this way, you're going to learn how to cook this way from the book, which I completely appreciate. This is going to be a staple in my kitchen. Also, it's a great Mother's Day present. If you're not sure what to get for someone, this is amazing. Is it available everywhere? Let people know what's the best way to get a hold of Mother Sauce.
If you go to Mad Hungry on any social, you can link through me to independent bookstores, the big stores, and it is a wonderful, for any mother, it's a wonderful gift. It'll become a treasured family heirloom, just like our favorite recipe boxes.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Lucinda, for spending time with us about this wonderful book. I'm going to be diving in, I'm sure, for years to come on it. Again, available anywhere fine books are sold.
Thank you,
for
Rebecca.
joining us. All right, we're going to continue that Italian fanfare with Carrabba's in the Kitchen. Stick with us. The 9 is back after the break.